Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. We're taking a look at an SEC matchup that is flying under the radar because of that loss that LSU took opening week against Florida State. But this is a really good game. Mississippi State's 2-0. It's a team that we were high on coming into the year. And LSU was a team that we were high on to begin the year. This one is going to be a good one before we get into it, as usual. Just saying thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. We appreciate it. We love talking ball with you guys. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing. It really does mean a lot to the fellas. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. This one's got my brain a little bit in a pretzel. How are you feeling about this game?
I mean, that's tough because if you asked me preseason, I would have thought LSU for sure. I would have thought their defense would be too much. When you can rush the passer on a team like Mississippi State, I feel like you can make the game hard for them, and I think they should be able to. But if you're not like slightly concerned about what LSU can be after that Florida State game, like I don't know what to say.
My biggest concern with LSU is two things, and we talked about this wrapping up that Florida State LSU game, is LSU's biggest weapons. How you see them scoring the ball in offense is at that wide receiver spot. Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Dre Jenkins, Brian Thomas. Loaded wide receiver room with so many names that can hurt you. And then Jaden Daniels just doesn't seem – I'm not even saying it's necessarily him that can't get the ball to the playmakers, but that offensive line against Florida State in particular just didn't give him enough time, didn't give him clean enough pockets. Jaden Daniels is getting a lot of heat about not going through his progressions. Quite frankly, rewatching that game more as get a grip at LSU and not necessarily as a fan watching the game live, he didn't have a lot of clean pockets. He didn't have a lot of time to work through those progressions that everyone was saying he should be. What I'm thinking, I don't know if Mississippi State can challenge LSU off that pass rush as much as a team like Florida State, where Jared Verse looks like he's going to be a future first-round pick.
That's the thing with Florida or Mississippi State is they have, I think, good interior guys who play the run pretty solid. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, who's going to play on the edge? They don't have a Jared Verse. That's a pro level player. I just don't see that from Mississippi State. And in turn, I think this LSU offense can be dangerous if they can block. And that's a big if in almost every game, but I just don't know that Mississippi State has the tools to capitalize on that.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. This was, again, an LSU team that, in my opinion, still – I know you lost Mason Smith, but you look at the players, the names of those players on the defense side of the ball, it's a top 10 defense, in my opinion. I mean, you still got dogs on the defensive line, Ali Gay, Ojolari, Jacqueline Roy. Wingo from Missouri is also a very good interior defensive lineman. Like, they are loaded. They have good backers. The secondary is kind of a ragtag group full of transfers. They're still kind of figuring it out, but they're good playmakers. They're good football players. This game, LSU as underdogs in a night-ish game, 6 p.m. kickoff in Death Valley. You're telling me that they're dogs? Vegas is giving me dog odds on LSU to win a night game against a team like Mississippi State. That's no disrespect to Mississippi State. I actually really like their team, and I love what Will Rogers is doing and how he's looking in his third year in this scheme. But I feel like I have to be riding LSU.
Yeah, that's my one concern is I think LSU is going to need to bring it on the pass rush, and frankly, I just don't think they did it against Florida State. I think they were okay, and yeah, they look solid at times, but they weren't nearly as impactful as the Florida State D-line, who was eating LSU alive. So I think, for them to have a shot, that D-line needs to play right up to their potential and just be really dominant, because I kind of with you. Like, the secondary is good, but they were giving up some plays to Florida State for sure, and we'll see. But like they're gonna need to bring it. Will Rogers, he's a problem if he can have time.
And Will Rogers, and also going back and watching some Mississippi State games, they get the ball out quick, and they, as much as Will Rogers, like, he's an NFL prospect, he has a good arm, he can make a lot of those throws. They check it down to the running backs a lot. I mean, the top three guys, two of them in receptions were the running backs from last year. They like to check it down. The backers are going to need to be able to tackle in space against Mississippi State. I like a guy like Mike Jones Jr. to be able to make those plays. This is a game that I don't feel, after watching LSU play Florida State, it's not like I'm rushing to bet this game just because there are still a lot of question marks. around LSU and how they can protect Jaden Daniels and how that defense is going to come together. But LSU is dogs at home at night against a team like Mississippi State. I mean, I get it if it's Bama or Georgia, but Mississippi State, like they're a more talented team than Mississippi State. They're at home. I wonder, though, are the fans going to be buzzing around? Like, Brian Kelly already looks like he's getting run out of town at LSU.
Oh, I get that. I feel like I would hate Brian Kelly if I liked LSU. But that's just like they just love football.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. Yeah.
It just, there's no, there's no shot it matters. They're like those SEC fans, especially the ones in those teams that don't have pro markets. It's just like, they're wild. Like that's what they like live for. They love it.
Yeah, that is very true. Another kind of key matchup is Keyshawn Boutte, a guy that one of the best wide receivers, is supposed to be a first round NFL draft pick, going up against Emmanuel Forbes, who reminds me a lot of some of the older Mississippi State DBs. Emmanuel Forbes has great length. He's very good with the ball in the air. I can't wait to see that matchup. There's a lot of really intriguing matchups. I wonder if LSU can run the football a little bit better than they did against Florida State. I think I like LSU in the spot, but Will Rogers under that. I say this a lot, and we said it in the summer a lot. The third year, that's when it starts to click, and Mike Leach kind of runs a little bit of a complicated scheme with all the routes that they run and how much they throw. Will Rogers is coming into his own. If you're looking for kind of a dark horse Heisman contender, I mean, Will Rogers, Mississippi State gets on a run, goes 10-2, 9-3. Like, he's gonna put up some gross stats.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, one other thing I guess LSU has going for him is you lost two really good tackles on Mississippi State last year, so you are turning that position over. And yeah, again, that just opens the door for the old Juarez, the Ali Gays. Like, those guys I feel like could feast and
turn it up.
And you just, like, everybody who watches football knows when you have positions that can't be blocked on the defensive line, whether that's the inside or the outside, you make it almost impossible for your opponent to win. So I think that feels like, to me, they're going to need to be borderline unblockable on the outside, because the inside, I think Mississippi State's pretty solid. I think they're returning most of those guys. They're pretty tight there last year, but man, if they can get after him on the edge, I think they could make it a long day. The problem is, he's still kind of waiting to see a real dominant performance out of LSU against a good team.
I agree, and that's when you're looking to your guys like Ali Gay, Bijo Ojulari, and say, it's time to step up. And if those guys, like you said, can take over this game, I do like LSU's chances. Quite frankly, I like the matchups. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to – as bad as that LSU offensive line looked against Florida State, I don't know how much Mississippi State's going to give them trouble. They don't like bringing pressure that much.
Yeah, I said they're a drop 8, rush 3 kind of team.
If you give Jaden Daniels some time to extend some plays outside the pocket, let those wide receivers have time to get open, get the ball into their hands. Those guys are extremely hard to tackle in open space, and they're very talented to hit and explosive plays. LSU at night, I think I like them. That'll do it for our review on this game. Again, if you guys do like the content, you have a pick for this game, you have some players to watch, let us know in the comment section. And of course, if you guys do like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, helps the fellas out. We appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.